Welcome. I'm thrilled and delighted to be with you all today at One Tech World, the largest global gathering of women who have dedicated not only their educational pursuits, but their passion and their talents to reinventing the world for good in all of the organizations you sit in today in all levels. I'm Julie Gilbert. I'm a partner with McKinsey, and I focus my energies on digital transformation as well as business building in many sectors. I'm also a partner in the technology space as a certified technology partner. I'm the daughter of two entrepreneurial parents. I grew up in a very small town, blue-collar town with over 80 people. I have two brothers, and I'm also the mother of a wonderful young man who is growing up to be as passionate about women and leadership as anyone. I grew up in a place that had a very strong work ethic, including values on integrity, giving to others, doing the right thing when no one was looking. I also grew up as a curious girl, that hasn't changed, with a mind of invention, always being curious to see what others don't see that I could solve with my problem-solving passion to make the world better for all people. I know you're all the same in many, many aspects, although you have different journeys. I also grew up with a very strong mother, very passionate, a CEO in her time, an innovative entrepreneur. She couldn't really say it out loud at the time because it just wouldn't have been appropriate given the culture, but she spent her life downplaying that aspect and navigating the judgment of men, in many cases women, just doing what she loved in building businesses. I knew that through her sheer passion and improvement for organizations as a whole, I could also follow my mom's footprints as I did. And at 22 years old, when I saw a problem, I taught myself how to code and built the first software program in that space. Today, I want to start with all of you by elevating someone that we don't talk about enough. Her name is Ada Lovelace. I'm not sure if you've heard of her. If you haven't, I would encourage you to research her. But we're going to anchor today's talk in what she did in the 1800s to become the very first computer programmer. Not the very first woman computer programmer, but the very first programmer. She was so curious about math, and she described herself at the time as an analyst and a metaphysician, which we could actually describe ourselves that way today, many, many years later. Her journey started in 1815 in London. She was born and raised by a single mother. Her mother actually separated from her father when Ada was only 2 months old. I'm just going to pause for a moment because that's not really something that is looked upon fondly today. It certainly wasn't looked upon fondly in 1815. Ada was introduced and further found her passion for mathematics actually by the first professor of mathematics at the University of London. His name was De Morgan, and I'm going to talk a little bit about that as we move through today's talk. When Ada was 18 years old, due to her passion and knowledge in math, she was introduced to Charles Babbage by another woman, Mary Somerville, who at that time, in the 1800s, was herself a distinguished scientific writer. Again, not something common at the time. What she had was the ability to connect the arts to science. And what Ada did is she started looking at some of the things that were being talked about and looking at math equations. She realized that it wasn't really just about calculations or equations, but it was actually the possibility was there for algorithms, something that wasn't even discussed at the time, a set of instructions. In 1843, Ada published the very first, very unusual for a woman in the 1800s to publish anything, but she published the analytic engine, that anything can be notated in symbols, and not just numbers, but also words. She saw the general purpose computer in 1840s. And she stated in her paper, which I think is incredible, it's the coming together of art and the sciences, that what she saw as an algorithm weaves algebraic patterns, just as a jacquard loom weaves flowers and leaves. It can even make music, she said. Imagine something like that being said in the 1840s. Imagine something being said like that today. We are going to come back to Ada's journey and the lessons on that, and what was key to her success on a global level, to bring the talents and insights of women in tech, to truly partner with our male allies, to change the world for good as a combined unified force. There's never been a more important time than today to do that. Today we know some key facts. With more women in leadership and in design and tech, the financial performance of any organization anywhere in the world will be at least 25% higher than those without. I'm going to come back to that. If you have true diversity of men and women working together in organizations, for decades we've known that this research presents that you will have automatically more than 25% higher financial outcomes than if you don't. So the foundation is set. We also know that female founders achieve at least 10% higher outcomes than male peers in the businesses they found. 10% higher. We know that women control over 31 trillion in worldwide spend. We also know that women make 85%, that's 85, of key consumer purchase decisions. 91% in new homes, 66% in PCs, 92% of decisions in vacations, 80% in healthcare, and the list goes on. Food, OTC pharmaceuticals, bank accounts. We know that women invest 90% of their income back into their families and the community for betterment. They take that money and they increase education for children. They find clean water sources. They create safety, personal safety and community safety. They do that compared to 35% of men. We also know that with key inventions would not happen without the insights and talents and perspectives of women. We think differently. We see the world very differently. We know that the HeLa cell, the foundation for all global cancer research, came from Ada Lovelace, who gave her life at 31 years of age to aggressive cancer. Every piece of research since that 1951 timeframe has come from the HeLa cell or from Ada Lovelace. Some other things we know. Some key women that I'm not sure if you know that they invented all these things, and the list is long, but Hedy Lamarr was the first person to come up with what we now use as Wi-Fi, GPS, and Bluetooth. Mary Anderson developed the first patent for windshield wipers. Now you may say that's kind of like silly, but imagine a world where we don't have something to clear the windshields and we would run into things and crash into cars and things would not be good. Imagine that Mary Van Britten Brown in 1966 created the first home security systems with the video technology that we take for granted today. It's amazing what has happened. Frustrated with high crime rate and slow police in her Queens neighborhood, she took home security into her own hands. In 1966, she created a video and audio security system, the ability to unlock doors, speak through a microphone, call for help remotely. This is 1966. It's amazing. It also laid the foundation for what we use today in terms of video doorbell clips and keeping track of kids and dogs. Stephanie Kwolek in 1965 took her trained chemist knowledge from a young age, mixed in with her young childhood interest in fashion and design, fabrics and sewing, and she brought them both together to create the first Kevlar, something that is used in so many different aspects today to create bulletproof material to protect human beings. I mean, the list goes on. We have, again, as we keep going, we have the next Shirley Ann Jackson, the first Black woman to earn a PhD from MIT. And she's responsible for really the insights and the patents around caller ID, fiber optic cables, portable fax in the 1970s. Incredible breakthroughs in technology and telecommunications because of Miss Jackson's discoveries. Another one that you may or may not be familiar with in 1944, Esma Chatterjee created the treatment for malaria, something that was killing so many people all over the world. She took her doctorate from science from an Indian university. Her area of study was mostly in medicinal plants and organic chemistry, and yet she put that together with rudimentary tools to actually extract and activate the chemicals that would be needed to actually help create drugs to treat not only malaria, but also epilepsy. We have the first space station powered system created by Olga Gonzalez Sanabria. She, in 1979, after being born in Puerto Rico, immigrated to the United States and began working with NASA. She's best known for inventing lifelong saving nickel and hydrogen batteries, which can operate for over 15 years. And I think we all know, without me going into the roadmap, the impact that that has had on all of our technologies. As you think about what these women did, they applied their passion and their talents, and there's no question that there was a couple things at play, much like Ada, that unlocked their ability to bring these inventions to life and change the world for good for all. Well, now I'm going to switch a little bit to where we are today. I've talked about all this amazing things that women have invented. I've talked about Ada and her journey and what she enabled. for us all as the first programmer. Where are we at today as women in digital tech, in transformation, in founding businesses? Unfortunately, the news is not so great, but on the other side of this, I'm going to give you what it takes to change all of this, which is what we're really about. So today what we know is that women founders receive less than 2% of all investment funds in a given year, and receive even less than that from global venture capital than men, 2%. Women currently, that's us, hold 26.7% of tech-related jobs. That's incredible, but it's not 50%. And as we're transforming the world around AI and cybersecurity and digital twins and all of what we're doing, including femtech, we have to have our voices, our minds, and our digital fingers at the keyboard, bringing our insights and bringing our unique aspects of being a woman to the table. The percentage of women in tech-related careers is actually decreasing in the last 2 years. We'll talk a little bit about that shortly. And women in software engineering report a lack of equal pay. 93 cents on the dollar for the same exact job that a man would hold. In addition, in a report we just released at McKinsey, in the Women of Workplace report, we're unfortunately still elevating this aspect of a broken rung. McKinsey reports, we do, that 86 women are promoted for every 100 men across every industry. When you talk specifically about us in tech, not 86, but only 52 of us are promoted for every 100 men. Just taking a pause on that, it's a challenging uphill battle, and I'm going to talk a little bit about my hypothesis around what we need to do to change that. In our most recent Women in the Workplace report, we also reported that for every one woman that gets promoted, 2 women leave the company. And women are leaving companies at the highest rate in years. 1 up, 2 out. Has to change. As we continue to roll forward in the broken rung, when we look at 87% of women are promoted, only 82% of women of color are promoted. And that's against 100 men as a comparison. Why is this all happening? Why is it the case that it's happening? Let's go back and talk about some additional research that McKinsey has done, as well as others. The reason it continues to happen, that we, in spite of all of the innovation, in spite of how much the world needs our mindset, our passion, our talents at the table, we're dealing with aggressions and microaggressions. A recent article was written about breaking women's solidarity, tracing gossiping. Yes, we're talking about gossiping today. Gossiping about women by men and gossiping about women by women. This is what is holding us back, cutting off the opportunities, keeping us out of the promotion line, keeping us away from going into tech-related positions. I'm going to give you the definition of gossip, just because I think it's good. I looked it up. It's casual, unconstrained conversational reports about other people, typically involving details that are actually not confirmed as being true. Not confirmed as being true. It's the whispers at the coffee shop. It's the calling somebody after a meeting and saying, oh, you know what, I think she meant by that and this must mean. Or it's the, who does she think she is? Those kinds of things being said. Well, let me take you back to the 1500s. They actually led gossips through town in public humiliation with a frame around their heads, locking their heads and their mouths. Complete humiliation. And the reason they did it is because they saw it as the destruction of the value system of the community. Well, I'm here to tell you it's the destruction of our global change that we can make as women, because people are not happy for other talented women, but instead they see them as some sort of a threat or an insecurity or jealousy that we need to somehow pull that woman back. We need to push those women forward. The world is getting scarier by the day. We need everyone on tap to make this happen. And we don't want gossip to be the destruction of financial and community deterioration. It's actually done by those at all levels, gossiping. It doesn't matter if you're the top of a company or at the front lines, gossiping happens. I can tell you I deal with it every day. I know you deal with it every day. And it's incredibly damaging. And it's also irresponsible. It's ruining the reputations and certainly the cause of women leaving at the highest rate in history of keeping track. Martin Luther King, someone I admire greatly, said, "The ultimate tragedy is not the oppression and cruelty by bad people, but it's actually the silence over that by the good people. So if someone's gossiping about someone else or saying, oh, did you hear? Why don't we stop them and say, you know what? I actually heard she's amazing. I actually heard she's doing really incredible things. She's got a tremendous talent in X, Y, and Z. One of the very damaging forms of corporate gossip is microaggressions. Microaggression examples, I'll give you a few. There's a long list we could whiteboard together, but meetings happening without key women. Oh, we must have missed you, Julie. Somehow my admin forgot to add you. Not being invited to key meetings means your voice is not there. You're also physically not there. Decisions being made in traditional men's conversations behind the scenes of standing up one of their guys as the next great person to lead that, when really, if you were to have an evaluation of it, you might actually pick a woman who has more credentials than that particular guy. Direct undermining from that person around a rumor mill about intentions by men and women. Taking one piece of some element about a successful woman and turning it or spinning it into something negative, and then sharing that with others so that it starts to multiply, almost like a snowball running down the hill. Someone once said to me, and it's so true, the best way to kill someone without touching them is actually to take away their voice. I'm going to say it again. The best way to kill someone without touching them is to take away their voice. It goes back to what Martin Luther King said. It's not the aggressor. It's all the people who stand by and watch and listen to it happen or add on to that. Insecurity driving, talking over or highlighting men's points, dismissing women even though the woman's idea was the driver of the conversation, that is an aggression. We have to stop that. We have to say, you know what? Actually, Jane, I got to lift up your point. What you said is really powerful, and it actually has been the crux of our conversation on reinvention. Jane, why don't you tell us why you feel so passionately about that? It's so easy. Now, I want to go back to Ada, and I want to talk about what exactly was in play to make her successful, especially in the time that she was born. She had a strong female called her mother. She helped her get training. She connected her to the professor of London in mathematics. She put her into schools and facilitated her passion for math and for learning. And that's number one. Number two, she had a strong female ally, not a woman who gossiped about her, but someone who said, you know what, Ada, I want to introduce you to this guy, Charles Babbage. He's doing some work in this mathematic area. I think you get a lot of energy. I think the two of you could build something amazing. Without that connection, it's highly unlikely we would have gotten to the analytical machine. Neither person could have done it on their own. She also had a strong male ally in the Professor De Morgan and also in Charles Babbage. Two men who said, she's amazing, and maybe what she's doing has never been done before, but I think it's incredible, and we need to elevate that, and I want to brainstorm with her, and I want to take it to the next level. She had everything that was needed in the 1800s, and everything that's still needed today in 2023. According to World Economic Outlook, global growth is projected to fall to 2.9% in 2023. It's supposed to rise next year by 3.1%, but the realities of it, we have rising interest rates, we have the war in the Ukraine continue to weigh on economic activity. Global inflation is expected to fall by 6.6%, but we know we're in a position where companies are bracing themselves right now, and the impacts are being felt by individuals. We have a higher temperature by more than a full degree versus the past from a climate standpoint. We also have significant storm activity happening all over the world and in our local communities causing destruction. And we have an increasing drug and alcohol abuse rates as well as domestic violence issues. And lastly, we have civil and country unrest elevating a whole lot of concerns by all of us, including those who protect us on a daily basis. The truth is we need each and every person to come together in the best, most accretive way and bring kindness to every situation, curiosity, the passion to learn. That's what we need. It's energizing. It brings energy to every discussion, not gossip. Gossip is draining. It's deteriorating. It's terrible. What I know is this. I know that we together, all 5,000 of us, partnered with all of our allies, men and women, truly have the ability to make positive change happen globally in every single industry, in every single aspect. But I also know what it takes is women truly supporting women all the time. especially when that woman's not in the room. It also takes key male allies that support you, open the doors, talk ahead of you about how you would be amazing to get into this or to stand up that new initiative. We need to stop corporate gossip. Completely make it so uncool that anyone who would even think of it would imagine them walking through the town with that head frame on their head, being humiliated for even saying something so unkind about someone else. We need to make microaggressions something to be ridiculed for petty folks starting rumors, keeping her out of key meetings and promotion opportunities. Make those individuals leading the gossip accountable for what they're doing. It's deteriorating not only that woman, but it's also deteriorating her family. What is happening is the drainage of the corporate financial bank balance. Every single time someone pulls back or blocks a woman, imagine that someone is unlocking the bank vault of that company and draining money right out of it. It's the fast drain of companies' future success and innovation, and also financial earnings. What I know is that truly remarkable leadership is required to make this change happen. You have to stand up and take a stand around what's right from a value standpoint. If they stand up and elevate the Adas, all of you, all around us, we truly will achieve global reinvention, positive movement forward as a world, in a time and a space when it's never been more scary to be here. As was said by one of the greats, never doubt what a small group of passionate people can accomplish. Indeed, it is the only thing that has truly ever changed the world. They did it for Ada. Let's do it for each other. Thank you.